it looks like Instagram is telling everybody that I am on and we are live. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So happy Friday. I hope that you guys are having a great day so far, starting our weekend. Super excited about it. We're going to have a really fun weekend. We are actually going to take the kids with some family to Santa Land this weekend, and we have never been, and so I'm excited about that. We are going to be leaving tomorrow, and when I get off this call, we've got to pack and do different things like that, but I'm super excited about that. But what I'm bringing to you guys today and why I'm even here live is we're going to talk about the third habit that we need to make sure that we are not taking with us into 2021, okay? If you are just now watching for the first time, this is the third video in my 5-part series that I am doing to help you guys out with getting ourselves situated in a really good place to get going and really move into 2021. We know that 2020 has been tough on a whole lot of people, and the last thing we really want to do is enter 2021 feeling like you're carrying baggage, like 2020 is still stuck with you. So many people have gained a lot of quarantine weight. We have really fallen back into old habits. Maybe you were on a really good trajectory at the beginning of this year, and then quarantine came, and then this and that came, and you just haven't been able to get back on it. And that's what this series is for, okay? For those that don't know me, my name is Brittany Zamalik. I have a coaching company that is a private coaching company. We coach women and help them really learn the foundations of nutrition and learn the skills that it is going to take to live a healthy lifestyle beyond just their weight loss, beyond just achieving their goal. We don't want to stop there when we achieve a goal and then it's like, okay, now what? We're here to provide the now what for them and the know-how of actual actionable steps to take to get from one place to the other. Most of the time, that's very, very tough to do. We don't have enough support. We don't really, and maybe we do have support, but we don't know how to get there. We just don't know the right way to go about it. And a lot of the times we end up, unfortunately, wasting a whole lot of time trying to find out what's going to work for us. We end up Googling everything. We end up looking on Instagram for the latest fad. We jump around all the time. And so today, hey Hannah, I'm so glad you're here. I think you've been live for all of my calls, and I so appreciate that. I hope that you learn a lot today about this. So this is something that's such a hot topic, and this is carbs, okay? I know we hear all the time. I know you see it all the time. So many of us fear carbs, all right? I am a former carb fearer. I understand. I get it. All right. With so much information swirling around all the time, it's very difficult to know what to listen to and what not to listen to. And sometimes it's very hard to be able to decipher the fad diet from a sustainable way to live and something that's actually going to work for you long term. If you're watching, will you drop here? Or if you watch the replay, will you drop here and let me know? Are you someone that is afraid of carbs? Are you on the keto train? Are you confused about carbs? Kind of let me know where you're at with that, and that will help to kind of determine where we steer some things today with this call. Lots of you are hopping on. Hello. I'm so glad you're here. Hi. Okay, so Hannah says, I always thought in order to reach my goal weight, I had to cut out all carbs. Okay, very, very common. You are not crazy for thinking that. Faith Kinsey says, plant-based, but it's kind of carb heavy. Mm-hmm. Very true. Always been told carbs are the enemy. Yes. Thanks for sharing that. I'm terrified of them and so confused by all of the info and correct caloric intake. Okay, I've been told carbs are bad. Yes. Okay. So I understand. I totally understand. Carbs lead to sugar equals bad. Okay. Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you guys for sharing that. And so let's kind of talk about that for a minute. I am going to share my experience with carbs and where I come from with carbs. All right. So years ago, I followed this chick, this girl on Instagram. She's a fitness account. She's still here. She has a very, very large following. She looks absolutely phenomenal. Okay. And all I knew was, this is my thought process. I said, girl looks good. Like, she looks really good. She's got that booty that I really, really want. And she's got that definition that I really, really want. And she just so happened to be a nutrition coach as well. And so I said, okay, all right. So I sent her a DM, signed up for a program. She didn't really have necessarily a program, but she told me macros. She told me what I needed to eat, kind of a thing, and gave me a few guidelines on that. And so I told her kind of what I wanted, and she sent something back to me with guidelines, and it was something that I was just kind of a little bit shocked at. It was something that was incredibly high amounts of fat for my day that I should be eating, and then also a pretty low number for my protein that I should be eating, and absolutely bare minimum for the number of carbs that I should be eating. Like literally like 15, maybe 18 grams of carbs for my entire day. Okay. And so if you guys have ever done keto, you know that that's very, very similar to what it is that we're talking about here. And so I sent her another message and I said, okay, so is this keto? And she said, yeah, it is, blah, 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 just follow this and whatnot. I said, okay. And so I should have, at that point, trusted my gut. I really, really should have, but I didn't, because, okay, look at the following this girl has. Look at the body this girl has. Look at what she's doing. She's got to know. She's got to know what she's doing and this and that. And I went ahead with it and I did it. And I did it for about 2.5 weeks probably, okay? And so did this. And it was pretty tough at first, but it was something that I could kind of adjust to. And so I did, and I adjusted. And I thought everything was going fine. I was starting to see some phenomenal results. I got back down to a pre-pregnancy weight. Me before pre-pregnancy was just kind of like this, like just a stick. Not much muscle, nothing like that. Just a frame. And that's kind of where I got back down to. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden one day I started noticing my eyesight in my left eye was like a little bit weird. It was just a little bit weird. And from the time that I noticed that to about 72 hours after that, I had a very, very large spot right in my vision. It didn't matter where I looked, and they call those floaters. I was doing like a lot of research on this, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is going on? And started noticing this in my vision. And this was back when I did CrossFit still, and I was lifting some really heavy weights. I was coaching CrossFit. I was doing all this stuff, and I was, really still doing a lot of high intensity work, and it only got worse. It kept getting worse and worse and worse, and my eyes were so sensitive to light. I had to wear sunglasses while I was coaching my classes. And I was like, what is going on? I couldn't drive very well. The lines, like I never even noticed before, but there were lines on the floor of our CrossFit gym, and I was looking down at them, and they were like literally like bubbling up. And my vision was so wacko. And I ended up going to a local eye doctor where I'm at, and he did some tests on me, and he was like, okay, you need to go to a specialist right now. I don't know what's wrong, but something is wrong and you need to go. And it scared the crap out of me. All this time, I was not putting the 2 and 2 together. I had no idea. I wasn't putting it together that this was keto, and this was keto's fault for all of this. And so, mind you guys, I, at that point, had not been diagnosed with Hashimoto's yet. And those of us that do have autoimmune issues and autoimmune diseases, we have to be careful about things that we do try and do for our health. Everybody is not out there to protect our long-term health. They're just not. And I learned that the hard way. And so went to a specialist. They followed me so closely. I mean, like incredibly closely. I would go back every other day to this doctor. They would run more tests. They would dilate my eyes. They would do all of this stuff. I couldn't drive myself. It was insane. And then all of a sudden, it just dawned on me, oh my goodness, the only thing that I've changed is I have completely cut my carbs down to like 13 grams of carbs a day, okay? And I wanted to share, and so over time, you know, once I started realizing that, okay, I backed off. I was like, okay, I obviously cannot do this. It's affecting my health. And doctors were just like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. This is something that will fix itself, blah, blah, blah. And it started to get better slowly over time. It is now perfectly fine. I was so stressed out. I was so worried that my vision was like gone out of my left eye, like I couldn't see. And now, like, it's totally fine. Everything is good. It slowly worked itself out of that. But I say that and I share that to tell you guys, like, you just cannot trust everything out there, and you cannot trust just someone that has a pretty page and that looks good. Just because someone has an amazing looking body and looks phenomenal does not mean that they have the credentials and the knowledge to be able to tell someone else what they need to do with their nutrition and health to get to where they want to go. And I really mean that. I learned that the hard way, and it is scary. So when you have someone that you are trusting, you need to make sure that they know what they're doing and that they are not someone that is just going to put you on keto or something else that is dramatic and drastic, and that can potentially have some very, very scary health circumstances for you in the process. Now, did I lose a lot of weight in that 2.5 weeks time? Yeah, I did. Was it worth it? No, it scared the crap out of me. It was terrible for me. Did I end up gaining all of that weight back that I had lost while I was doing keto? Yes, I did, because I started eating the carbs again. Now, what I want to do is kind of tell you, okay, we hear that story, we hear other people's stories as well. There are stories out there that keto works so well for people, and they've been doing it for a while. Then there's the opposite stories like mine. And I want to kind of demystify the whole carb thing, okay? And kind of encourage you guys to dig in a little bit different and dig in and take a look and educate yourselves. I always say knowledge is power. You have got to know what's going on, and you have to be educated on that so that you can build on that foundation that we have been talking about. That's what this series is about. Building on those foundations, things to get out of your mind and to leave behind in 2020 so we can move forward in 2021. If you have a fear of carbs, if you are deathly afraid of carbs, if you are on keto, if anything like that, I really, really encourage you to take a look at it. Do more research, reach out. I am an open book. I would love to help you out. Get in my free Facebook group. Let us educate you. That's why I tell my clients all the time, knowledge is power. If I can teach you these things, you will be educated. You will not put yourself down that path anymore. I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through. It was ridiculously scary. And so let's go kind of dive in a little bit and talk about carbs. And if you're watching and you have something to take notes with, I would so encourage you to take notes or come back to this training and get a notepad and take some notes. Oh, my hair. Okay, so I'm going to look over here at my notes and kind of get going with you guys. So yeah, let's kind of backtrack a minute. Will keto work? Yes, it might work. Will it be something that's sustainable 3 years from now? Likely not. Can it cause a whole lot of other issues? Yes, it can. Can a lot of other diets cause other issues as well? Yes, they can. Keto is not like the only one that's bad. There are several diets. And I might actually need to do a little training on like, how do you spot a fad diet? How do you spot something that is not going to work well for you? That's an idea. I gave myself an idea. Would you guys like that? Would that be helpful? Let me know. There's a few of you guys watching. Will you comment? Would you like me to do a training on that? Maybe after I'm finished with this series on how to spot a fad diet? Anybody? Okay, so we don't want to fall into a diet trap that is going to sabotage the real reason for starting in the first place. We are better than that. You are better than that, girlfriend. Don't do it to yourself. You're worth more than that, than just like putting your body through it. You really are. So think of that. Overall, we want to feel great. We want a healthy lifestyle. We want to look 6 months, 8 months, a year from now, 2, 3, 5 years from now, and be in a fantastic place. If you're in your 30s, like I'm about to be 33, what I do right now will give me the body that I will have at 40 years old, at 35, at 40. What I continue to build upon is going to give me, produce the body that I will have when I am 50 years old, when I am a grandma, all of those things. It's important. Your health is at stake with all of this, and you do need to take it seriously. Guard that. That's all we have. That's all we have is the body that we have and our health. And so be careful about just going with anything that you see. That is not something that you need to do. Okay, so carbs. Let's talk about carbs for a minute. Carbs are our main source of energy. It is the way our body uses energy is carbs. They're really required for our body to run optimally. Okay, we need them. They are not the devil at all, but we also know too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, right? Like too much of something can be bad. And so I'm going to kind of break this down and show you guys that too many carbs, yes, they can, have adverse effects. But guess what? Too much fat can have adverse effects. Too much protein can have adverse effects. Too many calories can have adverse effects. That's it with everything. It's the same thing. Carbs are just the thing that's out there that's like got that red blinking light around it is the word carbs. And we think carbs are of the devil. Carbs are, a no-no. Just like you guys said, I've always been told I have to cut the carbs. I have to do this and that. You've got to look at things from a bigger point of view. We've got to look at the whole picture here, okay? And let's use me as the example. If I came in, I cut my carbs down to nothing. I cut my protein down as well. Of course, I was in a calorie deficit, all of those things. Maybe for a little bit, it looked like things were going well, but was it really going well if I lost my eyesight in the process of it? No, I don't think so. Right? That doesn't mean that something's going well. So we need to gauge that. If it's not something you can live with, if it's not something that's making you feel better, maybe looking better in the mirror, but how are you feeling? Those are things you need to think about. And so too much protein, yes, it can, too many carbs, can that cause weight gain? Yes, it can. Can it cause you to retain water? Yes, they can. But let's talk about protein for a minute. Can too much protein cause weight gain? Yes, it can. Too much protein can. Too much protein can also cause kidney damage, terrible bad breath, and extra protein that we have is stored as fat. Okay? So are you seeing how too much protein can do the same thing as too many carbs? And let's talk about fat for a minute. So even the good kind of fat, we always hear there's good fat, there's bad fat. Yes, absolutely. Even the good kind of fat and too much of that is not a good thing. We don't need too much of it. Too much fat can cause weight gain. Too much fat can cause high cholesterol, which has an increased risk of heart disease, cancer, different things like that. It can also cause terrible, terrible bad breath. That's a side effect of it. When you go and take a look and do research on keto, bad breath, brain fog, irritability, all of those things are symptoms of keto. They call it the keto flu. Okay? Keto flu, yes, or too much of something of fat and too little of carbs can also be AKA a health risk. These are things that are happening because this is a health risk. Maybe it's not something that you just need to get over for the keto flu. Maybe you need to actually look at it and say, okay, this is probably not good for me, kind of a thing. Too much fat can also cause a lot of inflammation in the body, a lot of bloating, and a lot of digestive issues. Okay, so too much of anything can be a bad thing. We need to look at things and have balance and moderation in our diet and in our life. And that's where looking at things from a bigger perspective and a bigger point of view really, really is so helpful for you. And that's what I want you guys to do. I want you to be educated, educate yourself on this stuff. That's what's going to help you. I am so big on educating my clients. We get in there, we do weekly calls and weekly training so that they understand about all of these things and they can move on and make those informed decisions for themselves so that they can spot a fad diet. They don't have to fall victim to it and they don't have to be a trap for it anymore, because it is a endless cycle that you get on and you stay on, and you can stay on that for years. But if you educate yourself and you learn and you actually have something and a plan and some support that's going to take you from place to place, no fad diet, no relying on supplements and bars and different things like that, you're gonna find that you will start to see the progress that you have been trying to see for however long it's been. Okay, so we're gonna kind of break carbs down. There are 3 types of carbs. Okay, there are fibrous carbs, there are starchy carbs, and then there are sugars. 3 kinds of carbs. So write those down if you're taking notes. Okay, our bodies are one of the 3 main macronutrients that we need every single day. So those macronutrients are carbs, fats, and proteins, exactly what I've been talking about. We need a good balance of those. Everyone has a different balance of those. But the thing is, we still need them all. We can go back and forth and measure these scales, I guess you can say, between the carbs, fats, and proteins, but we are not going to come in and eliminate them. If you ever have someone that tells you need to completely eliminate these things, you need to run, because that is not healthy. Do the research. It is not healthy. It is not what you need to do for your body. Julia says perfect because I love carbs. Good. I mean, yeah, who doesn't love carbs? I do too. Absolutely. Of course. Okay, so there are 3 main types of carbs. Excuse me. Starches, fiber, and sugars. So starches, most of the time, are referred to as complex carbs. Okay, I'm sure that you have heard that. Complex carbs are found in grains, legumes, oats, rice, different things like that, starchy vegetables like potatoes, corn. Okay, those are more complex carbs. We call them complex carbs because they take the body longer to break down. That's the easiest way to understand it, okay? Then we have more simple carbs, which are sugars, okay? And these can be things that are like natural sugars that are found in veggies, fruit, different things like that. Those are more natural carbs. And those are simple carbs, simple sugars, okay? Those also can include things that we find in syrups and like jellies and candy and different things like that. So we've got our starches, our fiber, our sugars, okay? And fiber, honestly, really kind of falls along over on the other lines of that kind of starchy carb, okay? And so I'm going to kind of break this down and give you guys just some examples of some healthy complex carbs, okay? So when we're talking about the complex carbs, remember, complex, more than one. Like it's complex. It has a little bit more to it. It's going to, it has more fiber most of the time in it, and then your body is going to break that down slower. Okay, it's going to stay with you. It's not going to just go straight through you and process like sugar, and then it's going to leave you hungry shortly after. It's going to actually fill you up and fuel your body. So some examples of these complex carbs would be like whole grains. Okay, so like quinoa, barley, brown rice, oatmeal, whole grain pastas, whole grain, healthier breakfast cereals, different things like that are going to be more complex carbs. Sweet potatoes, yams, corn, peas, carrots, different things like that are also starchy carbs, okay? And then if we're going to talk about our fibrous carbs, those are going to be non-starchy veggies, okay? So that's going to be like your greens. That's going to be spinach, cabbage, asparagus, tomatoes, broccoli, green beans, cauliflower, peppers, zucchini, mushrooms, different things like that. Your veggies, those are fibrous carbs. Those have higher fiber content in them. They are still carbs. They're just not those, they're just not those complex carbs, okay? And then let's move on to those simple carbs. So those are going to be things like those, more sugary things, syrup, jellies, honey, simple carbs, yogurt, simple carbs. Most of our boxed cereals, Fruity Pebbles or, different things like that. This is kind of where those treats end up sneaking in and falling in, which is okay. I say, 85-15 rule, to where you can have a few treats, but just keep that in mind. Those simple carbs, they are simple. It doesn't take very long for your body to digest them, and it doesn't put much in your stomach and leave much there. Is this helping anybody so far? If so, will you let me know? Are you taking notes? This also falls under the category of like ice cream, biscuits, like cake, different things like that. Okay? So the point is, we have different types of carbs, all right? Some carbs are better than others. Yes, absolutely. We want to choose the complex carbs and fibrous carbs over more simple carbs and simple sugars, because it's going to take our body, like I have said, longer to digest. It also has a lot more nutrients in it, micronutrients in those foods. Those most of the time are whole foods. Good. Thank you, Julia and Megan. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So really the point of today's lesson and topic and call is you don't have to look at carbs as a bad way. You don't have to fear the carbs. The carbs are not what's the bad thing. It's just that maybe someone is eating too many carbs. Yes, that can absolutely be a possibility, but someone can also be eating too much fat and too much protein. That can also be a reason that someone's not reaching their weight loss goals, if that makes sense. Everything has to work together. And I think it was Hannah that on Tuesday asked me, and she said, I went back and I looked at your pictures of kind of before and after, and what was the one thing that you did that helped you? And I told her, it's not one thing. It's not one thing. Just like carbs are not the one source for your weight gain. They're not. So you don't have to be afraid of carbs. What you know about, what you feel confident in, you do not have to be afraid of. So you don't have to be afraid of carbs. You don't have to think that keto is the right way just because you see someone on Instagram, like me years ago, looking great, feeling great, this and that, and they give you something that tells you you need to go and do keto or cut your carbs or slash them in an unhealthy way. Not the answer, okay? And truth be told, this person on Instagram that gave this to me, she didn't even do keto. She didn't do keto, but she told me to do keto. Different things like that. You can't trust everyone, and you need to do your own research, and you need to learn yourself, all right? I hope this has been helpful. If so, and you're watching, will you put really quickly the thing that has helped you the most and the thing that has stood out to you? And if you watch the replay, will you also let me know that? What's kind of been something that you have learned that you can kind of take with you so far? Anything? So, guys, this is our third live in a series of 5 lives in this training. I want to come in and just truly give you some support and some help and demystify a few things for you like we have talked about. Next week is my birthday. We are launching a birthday bonus bash, something that I have absolutely never done before for people coming into our coaching program. What we do, this is a Good. Julia says being more mindful of carbs. Wonderful. Absolutely. What we do, BZH Academy, is a private coaching company. That just means that we take applications and we want to make sure that we're a good fit before we just open up the gates and let any and everyone in. And that's because this is something that is personalized and one-on-one. We need it to be personalized and one-on-one because it has to be something you can do long-term. If it's not something you can do long-term, it's not going to work. Don't even waste your time with it because it's not going to help you out 6 months from now. Okay, so I'm excited. I'm so excited for next week for everything that we have going on. If you're somebody that has been wanting to join our program, if you've been curious about it, just send us a DM. We'll see if we're a good fit. We're going to send over an application for you to fill out. And then if your application is approved, then we'll be in touch and you and I will get on the phone. I do all of my sales calls. I want to get to know you guys because we work so close together so that we can really come in, build that solid foundation, demystify these habits that we are talking about and have been talking about, and actually set you up to be successful so that we're not running round and round anymore. We're on a straight path and we're making massive progress. Okay. Hope you all enjoyed this. If you watch the replay, let me know. And yeah, we'll be back on. My next live in this series is going to be on Monday. All right. So have a wonderful week. Have the best week or weekend. Have a great weekend. And we will talk soon. All right. Bye.
Why am I being that was cold this week?